A very good afternoon, everyone here. Can you all hear me?
Yes, good afternoon.
Hi. Okay. Hope you are doing fine and sound at home right here at this moment. Okay, so I'm glad that everyone here took some time to join the session today. All right. Okay, so let me briefly introduce myself before we start the session today here. All right. So I'm your presenter for today, Levin, and one of the trainer and penetration tester for Contingent Zebra so far lah. All right. Okay, so before I delve into the SQL injection attack, all right, so let me go through what a typical web application architecture, okay, is for those that is new into this area here, all right. So in a simple way, web application architecture is a framework that is comprised of the relationship and interaction between the application components such as middleware, systems, user interface, and databases, okay. So the general concept of web applications architecture is in line with the concept of a browser user who triggers an application that is capable of running in multiple of websites, as you see in this diagram here. All right, so what you are seeing here is a typical diagram with one web server and one database itself. All right, so it is the most simple as well as the least reliable web application component model. All right, so such a web application built on this kind of model will always go down when the server goes down as well. Okay, so in essence, web application architecture can be defined as such. So when a user browses for a specific URL, which the browser locates and requests, okay, so over the network, the data is sent from the server to the browser then it is executed by the browser so that it is able to display the requested page as how we browse our website, right? So the user will view and interact with the page itself. So that is how a web application architecture works. Okay, so moving on to into OWASP. Okay, so I believe everyone here have somehow heard about OWASP, all right? So OWASP stands for Open Web Application Security Project, okay, which is an international non-profit organization dedicated to web application security and was established back in the year of 2001. So one of OWASP's core principle is that all of their materials is free, available, and easily accessible from their websites. So making it possible for anyone to improve their own web application security, all right? So it is also one of the most referred guidelines out there that we, the penetration tester, uses when we are testing for vulnerability in web applications, all right? So the OWASP top 10 risks are also available for such as web applications, of course, mobile applications, IoT, and as well as tech clients, all right? So basically, what is OWASP top 10? All right, so OWASP top 10 is a regularly updated report outlining security concerns for web application security, focusing on the 10 most critical risks, okay? The report is put together by a team of security experts from all over the world. OWASP refer to the top 10 as an awareness document, and they recommend that all companies incorporate the report into their processes in order to minimize or mitigate security risks. All right, so this is the list of top 10 risks as of 2017. All right, so basically OWASP will almost every 2 to 3 years they will update with a new list. All right, so what we have here in this list is injection, broken authentication, sensitive data exposure, XML external entities, broken access control, security misconfiguration, process scripting, insecure deserializations, using components with known vulnerabilities, and lastly, insufficient logging and monitoring. So I believe some of you guys have gone through some of the risks here, right? So maybe your application has been subjected to this kind of risk as well. Right, so for today, what we are going into is the injection, the first module there, which is also the most widely known. All right. So injection attacks refer to a broadcast of attack vectors. So in an injection attacks, an attacker supplies untrusted input to a program where this input gets processed by an interpreter as part of a command or query. So in turn, this will alter the execution of that program itself, right? So injection, as I mentioned, injection are among the oldest and most dangerous attack aimed at web application, which they can lead to data theft, data loss, and integrity, as well as full system compromise. All right, so this attack type is considered a major problem in web security. and also listed as the #1 risk in OWASP top 10. All right, so for a good reason, of course. So injection attacks, particularly in SQL injection, are not only very dangerous but also widespread, especially for legacy web applications. Okay. So what makes injection vulnerability particularly scary is that the attack surface is enormous. All right. So furthermore, injection attacks are a very well understood vulnerability class. This means that there are many freely available and reliable tools that allow even an inexperienced attacker to abuse these vulnerabilities automatically. We'll talk more on how to use these tools in the later part, all right, under the demo there, all right. So basically, you can see that what you can do is like we can create, read, delete, updates database content, execute every commands, and gain unauthorized access as well, all right. So moving on to a database interaction, a typical one, all right. So when a user sends a request to the server to either log in or to retrieve some information from the server, maybe your profile details or something like that, the server will communicate with the database server through a SQL query, and the requested data will be returned. All right. So SQL stands for, I believe everyone knows lah. All right. So it's called Structured Query Language. All right, and is used to communicate with the database itself. So SQL statements are used to perform tasks such as updating data on a database or retrieve data from a database itself. Okay, moving on to the SQL injection attacks. All right. So SQL injection attack consists of insertion or injection of a SQL query via the input data from the client to the application. All right. It's an attack that poison dynamic SQL statements to comment out certain parts of the statements or appending a condition that will be always true. These statements control a database server behind the web applications. All right. So it takes advantage of the design flaw in poorly designed web application to exploit SQL statements to execute malicious SQL code then. All right. Then attacker can use SQL injection vulnerabilities to bypass application security measure. So a successful SQL injection exploit can read sensitive data from the database, modify database data, okay, such as insert, update, delete as well, execute operations, administration operation on the database, all right, like shutting down the database itself, then recover the content of a given file presents on the DBMS file systems, and in some cases, could issue commands to the operating system as well. So these SQL commands are injected into data plane input in order to effect the execution of predefined SQL commands. All right. So basically, most of the time, these kind of attacks will happen in kind of like search box, form field, URL parameters, or even your login form as well. Okay. So basically, in SQL injection, there are basically 4 different types. All right. So the first type would be the error-based. All right. So in an error-based SQL injection, all right, attacker exploit database error from a web page or application that has been triggered by unsanitized inputs. All right. So during an attack, this technique uses error messages to return full query results and reveal confidential information from the database, and also used to identify if the web application is vulnerable or not. So for the second one would be the union base. For the union base is also the most popular method performed by attackers, all right? So this type of injection techniques allow attackers to extract data from the database, okay, by extending the result from the original query, okay? So it uses the union SQL operator to integrate 2 select statements into a single result, then return it as part of a response. I will show you some of the examples later on, okay? For the third part would be the blind, which is the first Boolean-based SQL injection. So this type of attack overrides the logic and condition of the query to its own. All right, it is commonly used in permission or authentication queries, where they trick the database into thinking they have elevated permission or correct credentials. And the last one would be time-based. So what is this? Is sending an SQL query to the database, which forces the database to wait for a specific amount of time before responding. Okay. So how do we trigger for SQL injection attacks? All right. So we use the power of a single code. As you can see, this single code here. All right. So if you see from this website here, this is the link. All right. So it's actually basically it's type equals to deluxe. So when we invoke a single code there, what will happen is that you have this kind of error syntax, SQL syntax there. So when we see this kind of SQL syntax, it is basically what we call as error-based SQL injection already, okay? So we know that it is subjected to this kind of attacks. So basically the single quote is used, okay, because this is a character limiter in SQL, all right? So with the single quote, you delimit the strings, and therefore you can test whether the string are properly escaped in the targeted application or not, all right? So a standard sample of SQL injection is like, you have this query here, all right? So if an attacker insert the single quote into the form ID field here, the normal execution query of the normal execution of the query is altered then. So by inserting the single quote, the ID string is closed and an error is triggered then, as you see from the arrow here, all right? So for the next one would be authentication bypass, all right? So what is authentication? Okay, so it is the process or action of verifying the identity of a user itself. All right, so means that we are bypassing the authentication process itself lah, in this context here. All right. So when application login screen is vulnerable to SQL injection, a user can bypass authentications, impersonate users, access restricted resources without cracking any user credentials, and then becoming an administrator. CRUD. So CRUD is create, read, update, and delete content on the application based on whatever privilege that you have acquired from the attack there. All right. So a sample of the bypass payload would be something similar to this. All right. This is just an example of the payload. There are tons of different payloads that you can use to do an authentication bypass, which I can show you later on in the demo there. So I'll show some other examples as well. So a sample SQL query for login. So this is a sample of a normal SQL queries, all right? So select everything from user where username equals to blank and password. So when we log in, we try to log in, we'll submit the credential of admin and 1234556 as the password there. So but then when we have submitted the payload there, it will change the whole query as of what you can see here, what you can see from these query statements here, okay? So what I'm going to do here now, I will show you some demos, okay, on some practice sites, okay? So since hacking is illegal, I cannot use any other web applications that doesn't belong to me. So what I will do here, I will use some practice site that has been built by some other researcher, all right? So demo test fire is one of it, okay? So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to try to sign in. If I sign in as a normal user, admin, I will be able to log in, as you can see from here, all right? So how do I know that whether this is subjected to SQL injection or not? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put something, followed by a single quote, all right, same as goes to here, and it should trigger some error there, all right? If you can see that there's some error has been triggered, it means that it is subjected to SQL injection, all right? So from what I'm going to do here from here is I will be using back the same payload that I have shown you just now, X single quote or, all right? So if I'm going to use this, I'll put it as username and as password. What will happen then? I'll be able to log in into the system as a administrator then. As you can see here, this is what we call as authentication bypass already, all right? So some other payload that we can use, so something similar as well. It doesn't need to be X, it can be also 1, all right? As long as the query you have submitted, the statement you are submitted is the same, all right? See, the same. So another example of the query will be something like this. So if I'm going to put this payload here, then the password here, I doesn't need to be the same. I can put some other thing as well. You can show you here, if I change this to a normal text, I can put 1, 2, 3, 4. I will still be able to log in. You see that? All right. So why is it the double dash behind will help me to log in? Because the command sequence of double dash causes the remainder of the query to be ignored. So this is equivalent to whatever behind of the statement will be ignored totally from there, okay? So another example that I will show you here is maybe I'll use another web applications. that I have set up. Also, another applications that is also have all the vulnerabilities there. All right, so again, I'll try to log in. From here, the login here, if I try to trigger the error again, all right, it will trigger some errors for me as well. You can see that you are using an SQLite and all this error code is there, okay? So it means that also, again, it is subjected to some SQL injection there, all right? So, but if I, from this login page here, if I try to use the first payload that I have used earlier, okay, will I be able to log in then? I will not be able to log in using this payload. What if I use the payload of the second payload that I used just now? I can just put something else and I'll be able to log in. So it depending on the application sometimes. So it's not that one payload will be able to log in everything. We have to try different type of payload to try to log in into the application, if whether it's subjected to authentication bypass or not, all right? So that is an example of authentication bypass. Maybe I will show you another type of query sample payload, or equals to 1 and email not like something like this. Then I'll just try to log in. Again, I will be able to log in. But of course, this time I'm logging in, of course, not as administrator already. You can see here, I'm logging in as Jim, which is not administrator, all right? So if I use back the first query that I was using earlier, okay, I'm as an admin there. So it depends on what kind of payload you are crafting as well also, all right? I hope you all understand what is authentication bypass right now, okay? So some of the sample injection string that we have is, this is just a very short list of it only, all right? Of course, if you want, you can always refer to this kind of repository from GitHub, all right? They have all types of SQL injection payloads listed there. You can always just take it and then we just use it on the testing period. All right, moving on to the next part on exfiltration. Okay, so to perform data extraction using SQL injection, normally we follow these few steps. Basically, it's 6 steps. So it is advisable to execute the commands in the following order. First of all, to identify the vulnerable parameters, okay? Second, to identify number of columns on the target table. Third will be check whether union query return result from the database. Then fourth, comment the queries if required. And fifth, would analyze the result and spot the column number which return values, okay? And sixth, dump the necessary information or whole database, okay? Or maybe if you want, you can always try to do command injection as well into the system as well, all right? And of course, this way is basically the manual testing way, all right? So basically, we have also the automation part, all right, where we'll be using a tool, SQL Map, which is an open source machine testing tools written in Python, all right? So it's sponsored by NetSparker, and it supports various types of DBMS such as MySQL, MS SQL, Oracle, Postgres, SQLite, and etc. as well. And it can perform all types of SQL injection attacks, such as like enumeration, direct DB connection, data extraction, and so on. All right. So what I'm going to do from here, how we can extract information from any application manually. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I will use this application here that I have set up again. I'll just log in. Basically, what is this application is damn vulnerable web applications. Means that it has a lot of vulnerabilities, and the aim of the VW is to practice some of the most common vulnerability. So you can always download this kind of web application and host it yourself using XAMPP. All right, then you can practice from your own after this session as well. Okay, so once you have set it up, first thing, the default security level of this application is impossible. So we need to change it to low, all right, to have the type of vulnerability that we want to do. Okay. Then next, what I'm going to do from here is I will go for SQL injection. All right. So from this part itself, how do we check for whether it is vulnerable to SQL injection? Of course, again, I will put some, let me try it with the normal ID. I will put 1, all right? Then some information is returned from the database, all right? So from here, what I'm going to do, I will put the single quote again to trigger whether there's an SQL error syntax or not, all right? So you can see that there's an error here. So it means that it is vulnerable to SQL injection, all right? So what's next I'm going to do? I will try to figure out how many columns is in the database itself. All right, so I will try to put this payload order by 3 to see whether there are 3 columns in this this database or not. All right, so there are some errors again, so it means there are doesn't have 3 columns. Okay, so I'll try to go down to 2 then. All right, so there are some information then. All right, so it means that there are only 2 columns there. All right, so what I'm going to do next is I will change my payload here. Okay, use union operators to select now, to select the table name, okay, from information schema. Why I'm setting as information schema, because this is a MySQL database. So for any version of MySQL database below version 5, okay, so it will have information schema there, all right? So if I put this query here, you can see that the information will be returned, all right, such as the username, okay, that the guestbook, the table of guestbook user. So as an attacker, what is interesting to us? Of course, the user, all right? This is what always interests the attacker itself. So I have my table name here already. Okay, so what I'm going to do from here is I will change my query a bit again. 1 equals to, 1 equals to 1 union select now column name now, all right, from information schema where table name equals to user. There you have it. Okay, you can see that what is there. All right, of course the username is there. Then we can see we have the column of user ID, first name, last name, user, and password. Again, of course, for attacker, they are interested in the password lah. All right, so what I'm going to do here is that I will refine my payload again. All right, my statements goes to 1 union select user password from user. Okay, and what I will have returned to me is each of the user name, including their password in hashes. So if you look into this hash, if you can recognize it, it's an MD5 hashing lah. All right. So for any MD5 hashing, it is very easy to crack it. All right. So this is basically how we do a manual infiltration on SQL or any web applications itself. First of all, we need to identify whether the parameter is vulnerable. Okay, then we try to figure out what is the columns there. All right, then we see the tables, and then we try to see what information is there, and then we refine to what we want. Okay, so other than that, what can we do? All right, we can always have this kind of info for us as well. Okay, this query here will show us the database name, all right, the MariaDB, all right. What else we can do from there? So then select now like data, yeah, all right, the data directory of it. All right, we can see that where is it hosted, all right, XAMPP_C, XAMPP MySQL data there as well. All right, so moving on, what I'm going to show you next would be how we can upload a file into the systems, all right, through the SQL injection there, all right. So basically what I'm going to do from here first of all, I need to figure the path. All right. So from here, I can roughly figure that this is under XAMPP. All right. XAMPP. So what we have that it would be, of course, the Windows system, all right, and then under will be hosted under htdoc. If we do not know, what we can do next is for any PHP there, for any system, we normally have a config file, all right. So we try to see I have the config file here or not. All right, of course I have it here, of course, for this demo purpose. So if we can look into here, we can see that the document root is under here, all right, czamp htdoc. All right, so I have this path here. So what I'm going to do next is craft my payload, all right, to include something like this. I will maybe I will type in a notepad, then you can see more clearly because it's quite long. This is the most basic type of web shell eventually. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write a web shell and then send it to the system there. All right, so it's XAMPP htdocs. All right, so I'm going to create as a file of command.php here. All right, so and then I'll comment it out. So I have the whole query here, if you can see that. All right. Sorry, the extra A. Then I'm going to input this query into here, and it says that there are some errors, but eventually, okay, the file is already in the system. All right. So if I try to type with cmd.php, sorry for the cat. Okay, what do I want? I'll type dir. You can see. So I am in the system of the victim, all right, which is the C, XAMPP, htdoc, and I can see all these files in there. And what I can see, I should have the command.php here being created just now only, all right. What else I can do? Can basically do all the command operating system commands there. Like just say if config. All right, I can see my IP is 192.168.147 as well. All right, so this is what we call as command injection through SQL injection already. All right, so basically you have to know how critical it is for any SQL injection, what the attacker can do if they want to compromise your system from there. So while you are okay with what I'm showing you here, okay, so another samples that I can show you is how we do it in SQL map itself. All right, so what I have here is Parrot. Also basically Parrot or Kali is the operating systems for pension tester itself lah. All right, so you can just use either Parrot or Kali itself. It has all the tools that we need for this kind of attacks here. Okay, so basically how we do SQL map, use SQL map is SQL map. With the help file, you can see all the commands listed there. All right, okay, you can see all the commands on how to use it from there. Okay, so what I'm going to do here as well is that okay, so for SQL map I will need to also capture the request that I want. All right, so the next I'm going to use another tool is what we call as burp suite. So basically burp suite is a tool that we use for, it's an automated web scanner tools, but at the same time it has interception proxy as well. So what it explains is that while browsing any target application, so a pen tester can configure their internet browser, all right, to route traffics through the burp suite proxy itself, so that you can intercept the whole request. All right, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it here. Of course, you can see here that the license that I have is a paid license, of course, but then in Kali itself or Parrot, it has already a community version there. So no worries on what I'm going to show you here. All right, so first of all, I need to, in burp suite, I need to go to proxy. I need to option. You can see that 127.0.0.0.1 and port 8080. So this is to send the request back to my local machine here. Okay, so the same I will need to set in my my Firefox here. So I'll go to network setting, all right. So I've set it here as the minor proxy configuration. I've configured that accordingly, okay. Then from here, what I'm going to do here is that I will browse the web application that I want it to intercept, all right. So 147 DVWA. Okay, I'll try to log in again. Again, I need to set it to low, all right? Remember that. If not, you set it to impossible, then of course, there's no vulnerability there already, all right? So I'll go back to injection here, all right? So before I send any queries there, what I'm going to do is I'll click on the intercept is on, all right? So when I send a request over, the request will be intercepted by the burp suite. As you can see here, the host is here, and the path of the web application is here. And you can see the ID one is here as well. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to capture this request and save it as a file, all right? Okay, so once I unclick it, then the request will go through, of course, all right? So of course, but if not, I can just also submit here, all right? Sorry. And I can, it was not intercepted properly. All right. I can change the the request from here as well. So if I try to click forward, it will also trigger the error from there. Okay. So that's how we use burp suite basically. All right. So from here, after I have captured the request, you can see that I have captured the file here, dvwa. All right. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use this command. All right. SQL map -r means to request from the file of dvwa. All right. You can see that it is being automated here. Then it says that the backend DBMS is MySQL. All right. So do you want to skip? So since I know my DBMS is MySQL already, so I will skip the rest of the tests. So for the remaining tests, do you want to include all tests? Say why not? Yes. So what it does is that it will test each of the different type of payloads onto the system. All right. So it will tell you whether the parameter itself, whether it is vulnerable or not. Okay. So give it some time. It's still running. All right. So you say that the get parameter ID is vulnerable. So do you want to keep testing the other? So since I have already one parameter is vulnerable, I don't need to keep testing already. All right. I already have one attack vector there for me to attack already. So after that, it will tell me that what type of vulnerability it has. It has Boolean-based blind attack, error-based, time-based, and union query attack as well. All right. So what I'm going to do next is also similar to how I did it in the manual way from the web browser just now. All right. So I need to figure out what is in the what database is there. All right. So by putting the -dbs, it will enumerate for me all the database I have in my system there. So my target will be dvwa. So I will change my query here to -d capital to specify of that database itself. And now I want to figure out what is the table then. All right, what is in the table of the database? And from there, I can see that there are two different tables, which is the guestbook and user. All right, same as what I've shown you earlier. Okay. Then next is -t for the table, users, and columns. All right. Of course, I need to know how many columns is there, what kind of column is there as well. Okay. Then you can see that I have password, user, avatar, and so on type of column inside the table itself. So again, the attacker will want to see what is the password and user there only. That is what interests them. So for here, I will change my command again to user and password. All right. And what I want, I will dump it out the information. Okay. And you can see that this is all the password hashes that has been dumped out from just now. So do you want to store? I say maybe yeah, I will store it. Okay, so it's written to somewhere in my folder there. All right, I can always refer back. Then do you want to crack them? So basically, SQL map also have the dictionary-based attack as well. All right, so I say yes, please crack it for me. Right, so what kind of dictionary I will use? I'll use the default dictionary file I have inside my system. All right, I'll select one. Do you want common? Yes, why not? So because MD5 is already quite weak, all right, so and then the password is quite simple, so it will crack for me quite fast here, all right. So basically now it has cracked 3 passwords. I have 5 passwords to crack. And I have the last one. There you have it. All right. So basically, that's why we call SQL Map is an automated tool. It does almost everything for you already. So from here, you can see that this is all the user, the password hashes, and also the password in clear text. This is how simple it is, okay, for us to use this kind of tools to do SQL injection already. Okay, so aside from there, what other things that SQL Map can do? Of course, if you refer back to the help file just now, okay, we can also see operating system access. We can also have an interactive operating system shell as well there. Okay, what I'm going to do here is that I will try to gain access through a operating system shell. All right. The command is OS shell. All right. So what type of web application language does the web server support? So basically, I know that it's already PHP lah, from the PHP info that I shown you earlier. So I'll go for PHP. Then do you want to further try to promote the full path description? I will say no, because I want to write down which path that I want. So I'll put 2 for my custom location. All right. Then I will set the path that I want. And what it will do, it will upload a file stager, okay, into the system, all right, as the name of this file name here, okay. Then what I have here is an OS shell already. So what an OS shell can do also, same thing what I've shown you in the manual way, okay. Basically, I can list everything in the system there already, as you can see from here as well. All right, so this is dir, then I can like IP config, all right, what kind of IP I'm using here, and so on. All right, so basically this is why, again, why it is so critical to remediate all these SQL injection attacks. All right. Another example that I would like to share, okay, which is related to web services. All right, so basically nowadays we are using quite a lot of web services in our applications already, okay? So how we can trigger this kind of information as well, right? So what I'm going to do here is another last example that I will show you here. Okay, I'll go back to this application here. All right, so basically from here, aside from the login page there that allow me to go in as login, authentication bypass, all right, there's another parameters that is also vulnerable, which is the search function here. All right, so if I try to trigger A followed by the single quote, I cannot see anything is being populated here. All right, so how do I see this kind of errors? All right, so what I'm going to do here, you'll know how to trigger this page here, right? Just go to inspect elements lah. All right, then you have this page here, okay. Just give me 1 minute. Then I will go to the network part here, okay. So I will try to trigger the error from here, and if you look into this response here, okay, so you can see that it is actually sending another request to the web services REST API. But if you look into the response, okay, you can see that there are some errors being triggered here as well, right? So even then, it's not showing here in this main browser page here, but it's actually showing at the back end there, all right? So you can see that there's some SQL error syntax being triggered, all right? So what I'm going to do here is almost similar to what I've shown you so far, all right? So I will try to figure out what type of how many column is there as well, or the database that is using. All right, so this is the query that I'm going to use. All right, so I've submit this query. If I look into this query here, it's basically is different from the error that is being triggered is different from the one that I have earlier. Okay, we look into back. It's basically different here. All right, you can see that. All right, so what is happening here is that the number of column I'm selecting is insufficient. It's more than that, more than the one only. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to list out a list of commands. A list of columns to be listed. So I'll just list about 10 columns here. All right. Okay, the same error is being shown again. All right, so select is left and right of the union do not have the same numbers of result columns. So I will reduce from 10 to 9. Then it's also the same. Okay, I reduce one more time. And you can see that something is being shown here then. All right, so it means that itself, it has only these 8 columns there. All right, so what I'm going to do next is I will just jump a bit. All right, so I will assume that this column itself will have ID, first of all. Okay, and next email, because the login page there requested for emails. All right, so I'll just put as email as the login name. All right, and next, of course, the password. All right, then I'll try to reduce to 4 only. All right, so what I'm going to have here is that there you have it. All the usernames and their password hashes again. Sorry for that. You can see the username and the password as well also being listed from there. So this is basically how we need to understand how the web application to work and then identify the type of vulnerable parameter that you have and how we can make use of it for this kind of SQL injection attacks as well. All right. So back to how we remediate itself then. Okay, sorry. Okay, so what is the remediation for SQL injection? So first of all, use parameterized query instead of dynamic queries. All right. Then second, escape special characters in input parameters. Then sanitize user input, reject all special characters such as single quote, white space, new line characters, and etc. type of symbols. All right. Then use a stop procedures and add salt and pepper along with strong password encryption. As you can see from the 2 examples that I showed, they are using some password encryption, which is MD5, but it's not strong enough. All right. So you need to make it stronger. Even you have been compromised by attacker, at least they will not be able to decrypt those kind of passwords as well along the way. And of course, the last, follow principle of least privilege. All right. So if the application itself, where you store the web application in your C, there are only need to have the privilege of a web user, assign that web user. Don't assign an administrator to that folders there. All right. If otherwise, when an attacker have compromised the systems, they will have all kind of privilege to do anything from there, so on. All right. And so far, that's the end of my presentations for SQL injection. So what I've covered today will be injection. Okay, so the type of injection, which is the 4 types. Okay, like error, union-based, Boolean, and also the time-based. All right. Then how we can perform the authentication bypass. And I've also shared on how to do the manual and automated steps for SQL injection as well, using SQL map and also using crafting the payloads, as you can see from the demo just now. All right. So any questions so far? I'll open to the floor for any questions. You can unmute yourself if you have questions, or you can just write down your question in the chat message there. Okay, so aside from that, of course, Collision Zebra is also a training provider. So aside from that, we are also a provider for penetration testing, system hardening, vulnerability assessment, social engineering testing, and MDR, managed detection and response as well. Okay, so other kind of service we have is such as listed lah. I do not want to name every one of it lah, right? Okay, it's too long list lah. We can just read from there, like digital forensic and stress test as well. Okay. So any questions so far? So if using SQL map, I'll go from the Faisal one. If using SQL map, can it enter the command of the server? What type of command that you are referring to? Like I've shown you just now, all right? We can use command like, again, I'll just show you again. No. All right, so all the commands this is all commands of Windows, right, or the operating systems, right? So you can always use all these commands from there as well.
Hello, sir.
Hi, yes. Okay, so Shamil, Burp Suite is eventually already free. If you look into Kali there's already have a version of community there, all right? You can always use the community version to do this kind of testing. You don't need to buy the licensed version. Just that the licensed version have more features compared to the community version edition there, all right? So some other questions like whether SSL will help. No, it will not help to prevent for SQL injections, okay? SSL is only to help you to protect yourself from being, to read those kind of information if being intercepted by those kind of information there only. Yes, DVWA is free, all right? So you can just, let me just close this again. I will point you to where you can download DVWA. You just Google that, all right? And you can just download DVWA from here, dvwa.co.uk. You just download the file and then you just put it into your XAMPP folders and you can just launch it. It's very simple only. Yes, prepared statement can prevent injection. Can NTLM authentication window authentication on the IIS server be bypassed? Be bypassed? No, it will not be able to bypass. If it is not subjected to SQL injection, then you will not be able to do any bypass there already. Is data encryption helps to prevent SQLI? No, it does not help, but it only helps to a certain extent. In the event of, let's say, your your database has been compromised, at least your password has been protected from there, okay? Mitigation to prevent, okay, all right. So type of mitigation that you can help you to prevent is as listed here, all right. Of course, it always depends on the developer how they code their program, all right. So of course, you have to use parameterized queries, all right, instead of dynamics. Don't leave it open for anyone to attack you that way. What are the OWASP most top one? Injection, this is the module. SQL injection is the top one eventually. If I go back to this list here, basically injection is the top one here. A1 is listed, all right? Can SQLIs use on stop procedure? it can be used, but of course, whether depending on other type of, it always depends on how you code the whole application now. Let's say, yeah, this parameter you have code it properly, then your other part was not coded properly, the other parameter is vulnerable, then it will not help. So that's why injection has a very broad attack vector, because you need to secure every single parameter that you are using. All right, so that's all for today's topic. Any other questions that you would like to ask? All right, if you're not, do not have any other questions, we will be having a similar session again next week, same time, but it's on the 21st of April, okay, at the same time at 3 p.m. So we'll be discussing on broken authentication then, all right? Sorry, broken access control, all right? Yes, Agilan, how about framework? Is it possible to do in SQL injection? What type of framework you're talking about? Yes, of course. Of course, Laravel is also subjected to SQL injection as well. No, I cannot hear. I think you have built yourself. So, Lauren, so I'll just type again. WordPress also have another vulnerability. If you are not updating it to the latest version, it has other type of vulnerability there as well also, right? We need to be in the same network. Is one, if you are saying that we need to be in the same network LAN when using Burp Suite. Not necessary, all right? So if let's say I'm using Burp Suite on any other application that is in the internet, okay, let's say this website itself, give me 1 minute. This website itself is over the internet, all right? So I can also intercept it, all right? So let's say I want to go to download page. You see, the request has also been being intercepted by Burp Suite as well, because the setting is set on your local machine there. So because you are as a browser, you are browsing the page from there as well. No, SQL injection does not apply to PHP. It applies to most of type of programming language. Yes, the training session has been recorded. We'll share it after we are done with the session. We'll email it to you guys. Does WAF able to protect vulnerable web app? WAF only helps to certain extent. Okay, so let's say we are using SQL map itself. Of course, SQL map will generate a lot of noise in the network. So WAF will be able to protect from those kind of attacks. But if let's say it's a very skillful attacker, they will be able to craft the payload like how I did it manually, and WAF will not be able to detect. We will be able to bypass this kind of WAF. Lorenzo, yes, we have tested other types of PHP, other type of programming language as well, ASP.NET, ASP, all those programming language is also vulnerable. Okay, not only PHP. Okay, PHP is just an example that I'm showing you guys here. So I hope this session here has been fruitful to you guys, okay? Again, we will share this recorded session to you guys through emails later on, or maybe WhatsApps, all right? You can just refer back how we did the attacks from the demo there. Alvin, yes, to all type of database. All right, so for next week, topic will be on broken access control. All right, thank you, everyone. Thanks. Hi, Gary. Yes, we will. No, next week the link will be a new link. We will send it to you guys. If you have registered for the next session, then we'll be sharing the session again through a new link. Again, the link will be shared to you guys. Where do you register? We will be sending the invitations through emails, okay, and also from LinkedIn as well. All data protocol subject to yes, it is also subjected to SQL injection. Because OData is also a query language like SQL as well, okay? But of course, it's a different type of SQL injection already, lah. All right. Can I test this SQL map using other Linux systems? What do you mean by using other Linux systems? SQL map it has also in Windows. You can use Windows as well. Kali or Parrot as well. It's there. Is the blockchain, okay, how about blockchain SQL? Is the blockchain using some SQL database, right? If it is, then yes, it is also subjected to SQL injection as well. Accunatic sufficient. Accunatic is just automated scanners only, okay? So some of the attacks it will not be able to perform. You still need a skilled pen tester or attacker to do some attacks eventually. It will not be able to verify everything for you. Can the SQL injection install backdoor on the server side? Yes, of course, it can, yes. like I have shown you the sample, the demo just now. All right, if you look into my folder here, this is the command that I have created. Okay, so eventually it's a very simple command only. So if we want, we can always craft a more better web shell and install a backdoor there. All right. How you download Kali or Parrot? It's very simple. It's all on the web. Okay, you can just Google from the web and download it from there, and then you just have to install into a web VM. Okay, or VirtualBox will be fine since VirtualBox is free to use. Okay. Installing Kali or Parrot is just like how you install your Windows system. It's just very simple. Yes, Faisal, it's almost the similar methods to do it. OWASP Zap also is another automated scanners only. All right. Most of the time we will rely on the field automated scanners. Okay, because Zap also will miss out some findings from the web applications. So if you want, you can always use Zap, and then you can have other paid license one like Burp Suite or Acunetic. Those you can always use that. Yes, Faisal, it's almost yeah, it's almost similar there. Agilan toolbar for manual SQL injection, any free? What do you mean by that? Gillen, I need to look for it. I don't think so. We have most of the time we will do based on our own knowledge to attack for SQL injection. We don't rely much on tools that much. GS1165, any other website that we can test SQL injection? Okay. So the first one that I show you is demo.testfire. Okay. Then you can always try with DVWA, and then you can look for OWASP juice shop as well. Okay, so basically this tree is quite mainly used lah. OWASP juice shop is quite nice because it has some challenge. You can use it to try to unlock this kind of challenge there. All right, guys. Any other questions? Bye, Aguilar. I'll see you again. Be sure to join us for the next week session, all right? All right, bye, Lorenzo. Bye, Kin Hong. The next session is on 21st of April at 3 p.m. It's broken access control, like how we can do file uploading and so on. Identify server fault. Is there any token authentication validation there, is it? It's a sort of authentication, right, if I remember correctly. So really some of the solution that you have said, I have not really tested yet, so I can't give you a correct answer on that. Sorry for that. All right, guys. So I'll end the session here today. I'll see you guys next week. All right, stay safe, okay? Be at home. Bye.